right, today we're going to get started. Welcoming Ben Goldman from 180byTwo. He's one of the co-founders and the Chief Revenue Officer. So Ben, thanks for joining us today. We're happy to have you.
Absolutely, love to be here.
Awesome. Well, let's jump right in. We've got a full list of questions for you today. And the first one of those questions starts off by just getting us a little information about your company's background. So, how long have you guys been in business, Ben?
We've been in business for 4 years, 4 glorious years. We've been fully bootstrapped the entire way, and we've really built a great company over these last 4 years. My partner and I, Eric Schaefer, we both met, I think, over 7 years ago at a small company, one company called Info Group, and he was at a small company called Lively.
Awesome. And when I look at your company history, I think you guys kind of break it down into 3 different tiers of data, but why don't you give us a little history on the company and how you have a very unique approach to collecting and making data available?
Absolutely. So we are unique in the sense that we kind of have 3 different types of data, or 3 different groups. The 3 groups are then kind of categorized between our philosophy. And our philosophy has always been that, typically in the past, there have been either B2B data companies or B2C data companies, not really that kind of meet in the middle. And the biggest benefit, the person who hurts from this the most are usually the B2B companies, because when you're trying to, activate or use your data in the various ecosystems or channels, it's really better to understand the full 360. So our kind of company can create various products, but they all bucket them into 3 types of data. First type of data being our PII contact level database. On the B2B side, where we've built a tremendous B2B database, is Explorer. In Explorer is full job title, email, company, as well as technographic install data, understanding what a company owns and their full SIC code. It's a 40 million companies with 120 million contacts. On the other side, as again, like 180, we on our consumer database, which is called Cosmos, this is a full 260 million record database with full demographic and psychographic information. Both very strong, but Explorer database is absolutely amazing, especially when it comes to mid-size and small business. We really compete well when going up against Dun & Bradstreet in our small business market.
All right, go for it.
So I also forgot to mention the other 2. The other 2 is mobile location data, which is Account Link and then Loki. Account Link being the integral part of our company level map, which I can get into in a little bit. I think there might be more details there. On the other side being Loki, our location database that can understand point of interest or someone just walking out of a CVS. And then the last, in our intent data. So our online intent, the last bucket of group of data is our content consumption data that we've mapped into a company insights.
All right. If you could explain your ideal customer profile, how would you explain it?
Our ideal customer right now, they've been doing marketing for a long time. They might work with an agency, they might not. They are doing a lot of, MarTech work in the sense they have a CRM system. They probably work with a Marketo or an Eloqua, and they're generating a lot of leads, and they have a lot of stuff going. But what they might need is data portability. They might need the data to be moved to other platforms, and that's often troublesome. Or they just might need to understand their database more and be able to give it a little bit more enrichment with the intent, as well as some hygiene. We always believe that our data and using a lot of these products together help, but in fairness, using them individually can be just as helpful, especially the last one, or the first one, data portability. That one's kind of where everything starts.
So would you consider, like getting back to ideal customer profile, are there certain verticals or sizes of company, a more generic profile characteristics about a company that would purchase your product, at least for a hot space or something? What is there a certain profile of company not outside of how they're going to use your platform, that would be what you would say perfect for 1080.
Well, it's interesting you say that because, I mean, especially even locally, I think, interestingly being in Tampa, Florida, just to call that out, our office is located in Clearwater. We find ourselves often wanting to help the smaller businesses. If you had to ask me that question just in general, we most typically work with enterprise level technology, finance, and healthcare companies. Those are the companies we help the most. But as I was kind of leading in with going local, a lot of times we're brought into a lot of the local problems that we want to solve. So we kind of work with the small business owner a little bit more in those use cases. But in general, I think most of the people that know us and are using us are more the enterprise level. But we kind of we've learned to do both.
Okay, can you give me a typical use case from one of these ICP accounts in tech or finance or healthcare?
Absolutely. So I think to bucket our services, one of the most obvious services is a company like Cisco, using our data that already exists in the audience solution space in Google, but also maybe them using our data for lead enrichment. They might have leads within their CRM platform that they got from a conference they went to, or they've been nurturing them with email marketing, and they kind of want to know what that company is doing right now. And then they want to understand after they, hey, this company is showing a lot of intent around networking, then they want to activate that data. They might be doing it within the platform that data sits in, but they very often might be working with an agency that manages their social or managing their programmatic marketing. And we would be able to help them get their data to those partners and round out their cross-channel strategy. I think that's where we see the most prototypical use for our data is in that trying to help clients really execute on cross-channel marketing.
Wonderful. You kind of just answered this, but are there specific verticals that you focus on serving? I mean, tech that main vertical, or is it something like that? What's the top vertical that you really focus on serving?
So by all means, we have a lot of good technology clients. I would say that we work with most of them, and it's great. And they are phenomenal clients. They get what we provide very, very easily, and they understand how the demand gen funnel process works. What I'm proud of is my partners and I building really something good for the healthcare and financial related clients as well, where they're kind of a newer sector where I think they might be the next wave, where we have a lot of topics and a lot of tools to help financial services and fintech or med tech. And that's might be it's a unique place that we're breaking into.
That's amazing. What about geographic locations, both that you're focusing on to bring on new business? Like, are you focusing in North America? And then on data-wise, do you have a global data presence?
Great question. So I'm going to answer that question kind of the way I started with the type of products we have. Account Link, which is the real backbone of our B2B graph and allows us to send data for these channels. That is really built for North America. And we are building out various other global entities, but we are doing it carefully, and we're doing it with obviously the proper compliance to GDPR and making sure that that country and the other countries we are working within, we have the right type of identifier. But right now, everything we understand that IP seems to be a acceptable premise in global. So we also have been able to do some things in Europe, but that is specifically when we're talking about account-based marketing and trying to do that digitally. On the other side, whether we're talking about our PII, that is North America and North America exclusively right now. So we do have a global presence, but not with contact level data.
All right, that's helpful. Would you categorize the data you provide as B2B, B2C, B2B2C, B2B2B, like what, or both, like all the above? How would you characterize your data set?
That's a very, our thesis has been B2B to C. Really trying to understand the full scope and the full 360. So B2B to B2C, but that's my best answer, I guess.
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, you're getting the mobile information, you're getting the search and intent. So it makes sense that you'd have the end consumer information for the businesses to focus on, right? Do you consider yourself an enrichment provider, a list provider, meaning net new lists, or both?
I think more of an enrichment provider.
Okay.
We work with a lot of list providers in the sense that, like, a lot of times if you're trying to buy contact level data and you're working with Zoom or Circleback or Full Contact, we would be happy to add our intent data or RingLead if you have your data. And if you're buying, actually, sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but if you're buying lists outside, we would be wanting to enrich that data. And that would probably be more. We are not really considering ourselves a list provider.
Okay, perfect. How many business and person records are in your database? I know you've already answered this a little bit, but why don't you just take us through the specifics on numbers of person and companies in the different data sets?
Absolutely. So I'm going to kind of get into that in a set. So our Explorer database has roughly 120 million contacts with 40 million companies. On the consumer side, on the PII database, that's Cosmos, it has 260 million contacts, in the US. Echo is collecting, Echo again is our intent database. It is collecting roughly 60 billion signals on roughly 30 million companies, 30 to 40 million companies. The interesting thing about us is that when we use Echo, we are leveraging a lot of the other solutions, but we are looking at it at a site level. So we are seeing it at a individual office level. So a lot of our account link IDs, like I was going to say, we are tracking roughly 30 to 40 million companies at a site level basis. So we leverage a lot of the intent into our activation solution that I mentioned earlier.
So it sounds like you are aggregating some other intent providers, which is great, but and then you localize it. Do you have any proprietary intent technology or signals, or most of it sourced and then you build it down to site location?
Well, actually, so we took a different approach. I mean, I know that there's a lot of intent solutions out there that talk about a lot of working with a lot of long tail publishers. We decided to take two different tactics. One being trying to work with some of the larger publishers exclusively, and really try to get into really good relations, getting first party content consumption data, and getting them from really endemic sites, allowing us to really capture insight level that's really valuable. On the other end, to get long tail, because we understood that the power behind our solution was going to be the scoring and the AI that we put into it, we wanted to get a lot of long tail. So we went to a lot of consumer, what a lot of people would say consumer related sites that have a lot of B2B, but you have to mine through it. And you really have to make sure that you're, hold on, I gotta get him out of here, I'm sorry. Damn it. Zeus, you're killing me. Sorry, this is that COVID, so I don't know how I got outside.
Okay, why don't we ask that again? All right, Ben, so you guys have intent, you're compiling it, right? And it sounds like what makes it unique is the fact that you can get it to become site level. So my question is, first, well, how do you get it site level, which is really cool, but also, is it just intent that's sourced, or do you have any proprietary intent as well?
No, that's a great question. So when we went about building our intent product and wanted to get the best quality intent out there, we kind of wanted to take two different approaches. One is we wanted to go to endemic sites that have a high quality intent from some of the same publishers that we talk, verticals that we talk about. So technology publishers, finance and healthcare. And we went to some of the top ones in the space and struck partnerships. But we understood that our algorithm needed to consume a lot of data. We needed to go to sources that maybe others weren't looking for. So we went to a lot of consumer related outlets that have a lot of consumer sites, but also do have B2B news in them. And through that, we had to mine it out. And that's really where our technology and our data analysts really shined by taking, a lot of data, resorting it down to our account link ID, and then understanding that a various intent was coming from various sites. And that was kind of the other point to your question that makes us fairly unique, is that we're just not looking at intent from across an IP address or across a domain. We are trying to map a intent down to a specific company headquarters, going and leveraging account link as well as Explorer into our intelligence so that we can understand, hey, this company is 1,000 employees. They are in the financial services SIC code. And we are happen to see a lot of intent from this office in Texas. And that office in Texas happens to be where all the engineers are. That level of insight by leveraging all of the other products we have built kind of make our Echo product stand out. And we're giving a lot of partners the control to say, hey, what are the things that matter to you? And what do you want more? Are you looking at more scale or more accuracy? Because for a long time, we were trying to be the accuracy, and we had it dialed really high up. And we had a few clients come to us being like, your accuracy is great. Can we get it a little lower? We need more volume. And that's not our decision to make. So that's a kind of a separate issue, but that's the control we have with our intent product.
That's awesome. You mentioned location-based. So has COVID or the epidemic impacted your ability to tie company search to a site location? And do you see any solutions for that as kind of things come back, as they start to progress back to people going back into their offices?
No, I mean, that's the beauty of this. And again, to be very sensitive to the issue, I think that right now we learned that our technology is very capable of expanding and learning. So I think what we had to do, unlike which we can do because of the way we built our product, is that we were studying for years the way account link works. So just a little bit of backstory. It looks at 180 days of mobile location data to a corporate headquarters, and then says, hey, we see this mobile ad ID at this location between 9 and 5. And when we were doing this for over a year for this mode, we were very certain. Obviously, when we start to see location patterns change, and now we see this mobile ad ID at this home, and we're obviously not seeing them go to their office anymore. What we had to do is very simply, this is not the norm. We cut it off from there. And then we actually were starting over. And it actually goes to our 360-degree nature that we actually now understood, hey, this is this person's home location, because we had our consumer database to confirm that. So it actually helped us in many ways, not retain our users, allow us to still offer quality marketing services to our clients that did not lose scale from partners that just maybe had IP address and they didn't really have the same reach that they used to. So we were able to still provide a very high quality service based on the fact that we built it on a made first approach.
That's pretty unique, and it sounds quite valuable. Sounds like as people went home, you can track that their location changed, but keep them associated with the business. And it makes sense that it would kind of help you organize, because now, you know where these people are. In a sense, maybe it's probably at their home or wherever, but still are able to associate them to the business. Pretty cool. So I have a question. How does your Unify product help with data portability or merging MarTech data over to AdTech? Similar to like a LiveRamp or something.
So that is really the market that we're going after. So not to overwhelm people with product names, the platform that we just built called Unify brings everything that we've been working on together. And it actually has been the pieces that make our B2B graph. And the problem we are trying to solve is exactly that, data portability. Can a client who uses Marketo, Salesforce, and is trying to do account-based marketing and send on an ongoing basis their agency an ongoing list of ABM segments, how do you do it in a self-serve manner? So that's what Unify is meant to do. It's meant to help a lot of you that I believe are using Salesforce, and you have a very, very firm structure. You spend a lot of time, enriching, the leads that are in there. Now let's get it into LinkedIn so you can target them digitally, or get them into Google. These days, if you have your own DSP seat, or work with partners like even Quanzu, that's within the RingLead network, like that allows, we can send data to their DSP for you to activate. And I think the problem besides data portability, which goes in line, is cross-channel, marketing and cross-channel activation. And, one cool thing that I'll kind of sprinkle in here is that we are doing a lot of stuff right now around CTV and TV in regards to trying to execute upon doing account-based marketing in that environment. And that's the full approach: social, programmatic, as well as now TV. And while it all connects into your MarTech stack. That's what us data portability means, and that's the biggest problem we are trying to solve right now. I think that's why we're trying to host a lot more events, partner with great partners like yourself, and really excited to talk about it.
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, pumping data into Facebook or wherever you need to build out your ad campaigns is never easy. I've heard of a couple of other companies that have, really done well in that space, and wish you guys really well in that, because it could be a great line of business. But my last question is, and I think something relevant to everybody here is, we're all building our profiles, ideal customer profile. We're all trying to build a list of target accounts, and most of us are doing a great job of, okay, they're in this industry or these industries, they're this employee size or this revenue, and maybe they've raised capital. And then it kind of, the sophistication of the model kind of tails off unless you have your AI tool that apparently has its own 80,000, data sources and scraping, and can just spit you out some raw, A, B, C, D, E, or F. But in terms of lead scoring or account scoring or building target lists by scoring with intent, how do you guys help a customer with building out those ideal customer profiles or doing their ABM scoring?
That is a great point, because that is a lot of the times that's the problem they come to us with. I mean, yes, account-based marketing can be various things to various people, and you could be using a list from a conference you just got, and you kind of want to target this list of people before you go to your booth. You want to make them aware you're there. It could be a list of leads that you just bought, and they have gotten to a certain point, and you want to activate those and understand more about those. In any case, intent is always great as a supplement to understand the messaging. And I think that's where people, like, first you want to execute, and that's always great, and I obviously just talked about that. But before you execute, you need to know what you're going to say to them. So that's where echo and enrichment comes in. It really helps you understand what message, what's going to resonate well when I send them and I try to speak to them. And then, quite honestly, everybody has their own scoring methodology on their side. And then we have our own way of scoring and understanding a business as well. And we try to be very transparent about it. And this time, in this day and age, all you can really do is be transparent on, these are the things I'm looking at. This is the AI that I have in here. Do you agree? Do you want to, do you like it more on the, intent level? Are you willing to take more risks? Do you really get more scale? Or do you really want to fish in a barrel? And do you really want to know if we're like 95% confident? So these days, depending on the partner you choose, you want one that kind of can dial back or dial up depending on the company list that you're giving, as well as how you cultivate that list. Just as an example, sorry to go on here, like if you have a list from a conference that you just came to, you might want to have it a little bit more broad because you're kind of, you may not know. If you're trying to do a lead list in CRM, it might be very, very tight. It might be something you want to have over 90% or more. In either case, we can operate and help that.
Okay, so I'm wondering, do you guys offer any services outside of data?
So our services are broken out into kind of three. I love three. It's kind of easy to remember, I think. So audience solutions, which is our data that's available, in the ad tech ecosystem. There's DaaS, which is really our core business, is data as a service, providing data, raw data, to help clients fill in any gaps that they have. And then there is, with Unify, there is our SaaS business, but it really focuses on, it's not another platform. That's the thing I like to remind clients. This is not another platform for you to sign up for. This is actually a platform that helps you connect the platforms you're already working on. And that's it. And then while you're in there, just being able to do some quick understanding within the platform. Hey, for example, we have layered in our Echo Intent and account-based marketing. As you mentioned earlier, they go together. So sometimes when you upload a list, you want to know the intent, and then you want to be able to message your banner ad or your email to that intent. So throughout the process, we're always either using intent or activation, but we work with various different models. I think DaaS has been a core of what we do as clients get more savvy, and as they want just the data to then put into their models and do what they want with, which we actually have open APIs, and that's why we also work with partners like yourself to help get the data into the style and the format that you're already accustomed to. And I think that's why we work together so well.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. And this is my last question, I promise. I already said this once or twice, but do you guys offer any freemiums to new prospects, or like ideal customer analysis? How do you make it frictionless for a new prospect to learn more about your data and services?
We have been. Again, it's been, with full transparency, it's been interesting as we started this business where we are building solutions while we are looking and trying to solve clients' problems. So being a startup, you don't really build stuff without having some level of insight that a client needs it. And then usually we just try to solve that problem, and then we find other clients having that problem. So we try to price it within line of what they know. With that said, with the recent COVID and the understanding that a lot of people want to do stuff, but they might not have the buy-in from a CFO who's thinking about the business in a very conservative way. So when we think about that, my partners and I were really like, we need to make an offer that makes it as risk-free as possible. So we have done that. We actually do have an offer going right now. We have two types of offers, depending on what you want to take. One being a POC period where you can have to have the data, play with it for a month or two, assuming that you do sign up for a 12-month contract, but at least you have the time to play with it. The other one being some level of discount, whether it's 25 to 50% discount, depending on maybe a lot of times we're trying to bundle products together. As you can guess, having so many products, we're often bundling them. So depending on how many products you're bundling, we can get to higher discounts. But yes, I mean, the key for us right now is to get people using the data. We know that the data is high quality. We have many clients that are only coming to us with more problems. It's a matter of us making sure that people have the right access and they can do it risk-free, at least up to a certain point.
Awesome. Well, that sounds amazing. And I'm sure everybody really enjoyed your answers today, Ben, and we really appreciate you for coming out and joining us on the fireside chat, and look forward to working together.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.